The gun trembled in Bryce's hand, pointed straight at Emily's face. Her eyes didn't waver, locking onto his with a calm that sent a shiver through the air. "You're making a serious mistake," she said, her voice steady as a sniper's aim, dissecting his shaky grip like it was a training manual. "Your stance is sloppy and your fingers on the trigger. No firearms training, I'm guessing?" Bryce, the HOA's hired muscle, blinked, his bravado crumbling. He'd expected tears, maybe begging, but instead, he was getting a tactical critique from a woman in dirt-stained gardening clothes, knees smudged from planting roses. This wasn't just any gardener. Emily, a former Special Forces sniper with 6 years in shadows too dark for maps, didn't flinch at wannabe tough guys. She'd stared down warlords who mistook weapons for power, and Bryce was about to learn. He'd aimed at the wrong target. If you've ever tangled with an HOA gone wild, drop your craziest stories in the comments below on my YouTube channel, MidnightTales, and subscribe for more real-life dramas. But hold tight, this tale of a flowerbed rebellion against a neighborhood tyrant is about to explode into a showdown you won't forget. 6 months ago, my daughter Emily and I moved to Pinewood Estates, a postcard-perfect suburb with manicured lawns and houses so uniform they looked stamped from a mold. I'm Marcus Reynolds, a 23-year Marine veteran turned civil engineer ready to trade battlefields for a quiet life. Emily, fresh off 6 years as a Special Forces sniper with 2 combat deployments, was crashing with me after a rough breakup and starting a new gig training tactical skills to local police. Pinewood seemed ideal. Good schools, low crime, close to our jobs. The real estate agent mumbled something about a homeowners association, but after decades under military rules, I figured a few neighborhood guidelines would be a breeze. I was dead wrong. For the first month, everything was fine. Neighbors waved, we unpacked, life felt normal. Then came the invite to my first HOA meeting. I expected talk of pool maintenance or landscaping budgets, nothing major. But when I walked into the community center, I saw Patricia Westfield at the head table, mid-40s, dressed like she was auditioning for a corporate drama, her smile polished to perfection by expensive dentistry. She ran the meeting like a dictator, cutting off residents, dismissing concerns with a flick of her manicured hand, her voice dripping with condescension. An elderly man, Mr. Gordon, tried to raise a drainage issue, and she shut him down mid-sentence. "We've already discussed this, Mr. Gordon. It's your responsibility. Next item." The room went quiet, residents too intimidated to push back. I left with a sour taste, vowing to keep my head down. We were new and I didn't want trouble. Then Emily started her garden. She'd been struggling since her last deployment, sleep fractured by nightmares, but digging in the dirt grounded her. It connected her to her mom, my late wife Jessica, who'd filled our old home with flowers before cancer took her 5 years ago. Emily's garden was tidy, thoughtful, a patch of color that, in my opinion, made our yard stand out. But 3 days after she planted her first roses, a violation notice appeared on our door, demanding we remove the unauthorized landscaping within 48 hours or face a $200 fine. I was baffled. I'd read the HOA covenant front to back when we bought the place and nothing banned gardens. So I did what any Marine would. Researched, drafted a polite letter citing the rules, and asked for clarification. The response? Another notice, fine doubled, with a highlighted clause about the HOA board's right to interpret standards as they saw fit. That evening, sitting on the porch watching the sunset glint off Emily's flowers, our neighbor, Samuel Thompson, strolled over. A quiet history professor in his 50s, he always had a friendly wave. "Caught Patricia's attention, huh?" he said, nodding at the notice in my hand. He spilled the dirt on Patricia's 8-year reign as HOA president, unchallenged, because no one dared oppose her. Her husband Richard, a big-shot attorney, and her chain of upscale spas made them Pinewood's power couple. Last year, she'd fined a family into near bankruptcy over navy blue shutters instead of approved forest green. "She's brutal on military families," Samuel said. "Says they lower property values. 3 vet families moved out in 2 years." As he walked away, I sat in the dusk, memories of Jessica flooding back. She'd have loved this house, this garden, everything, except Patricia. I looked at Emily's tiny sprouts pushing through the soil and made a silent promise. Patricia could try her worst, but I wouldn't let her crush my daughter's peace. I had no clue that defending a few flowers would spark a war, or that Patricia would go to unthinkable lengths to protect her suburban empire. The next HOA meeting was set for Tuesday. I spent the weekend prepping, rereading the covenant, snapping photos of other yards with decorative elements, practicing my case. Emily offered to come, but I told her to sit it out. She had enough stress, and I figured this was a simple misunderstanding I could handle with logic. Big mistake. Rational talks need rational people, and Patricia was anything but. The community center was packed, 30 homeowners in folding chairs, Patricia lording over the head table with 4 board members like her royal court. A tall, muscular guy in an HOA security polo stood against the wall. Bryce Miller, Patricia's enforcer, with a military police stance and eyes that never stopped scanning. As the meeting droned through mundane agenda items, I felt his gaze on me. When resident concerns finally opened, I raised my hand. Patricia's smile tightened. Yes, the new resident in Lot 43. State your name and concern, briefly. I stood, introduced myself, and explained the garden issue, passing out printed covenant sections showing no ban on front yard gardens. The rules only require well-maintained landscaping that doesn't detract from aesthetics, I said. Our garden meets that standard. I've got photos of other properties with similar features. I handed them out. Patricia's face flushed as she snatched the papers. Mr. Reynolds, you misunderstand how things work here. As president, I interpret aesthetic standards. Your garden doesn't meet them. Those other examples are professional, not amateur experiments. She stacked my papers face down like they were trash. The violation stands, I pushed back. The covenant doesn't give you arbitrary power. Rule changes need a community vote with 30 days notice. I pulled out my phone to record. That hit a nerve. Patricia's composure cracked. Recording isn't permitted, she snapped. Samuel piped up from the third row. The bylaws don't ban it. These are public meetings. Nods rippled. Through the room. Then Patricia pulled a stunt that floored me. She called an immediate vote to clarify the rules, banning front yard gardens. Despite my protests about procedure, it passed 111, her cronies and scared residents carrying the day. As the meeting ended, she shot me a smug look. You have 7 days to comply, Mr. Reynolds, or fines escalate. Bryce stepped into my path as I gathered my papers, towering over me. Word of advice, he growled. Don't make trouble. People like you don't belong here. His tone said exactly what people like you meant. Driving home, I debated telling Emily. She was finally sleeping better, her garden a lifeline. I decided to handle it quietly, maybe get a lawyer. I didn't know my silence would lead to disaster the next day, or that Emily would soon be the star of a neighborhood war. I left for work early, leaving Emily asleep. She had the day off and planned to garden. Around 10 a.m., my phone buzzed repeatedly during a client meeting. When I checked, I had 3 missed calls from Emily and a text. Patricia and her goon showed up. Tried to enter the house. All good now, but come home when you can. Later, Emily filled me in. She'd been kneeling in the garden, dirt under her nails, when a black SUV rolled up. Patricia stepped out in a crisp white pantsuit, Bryce behind, her in sunglasses, clutching a clipboard. Good morning, Patricia said, her smile cold. I'm conducting a compliance inspection per the new rule. She waved an HOA letterhead paper. Emily stood, wiping her hands. I wasn't told about any inspection. Her voice was calm, but her special forces instincts were already sizing them up. My father didn't mention this. Patricia's smile tightened. We don't need to schedule. The covenant allows us to document violations. We'll check inside for other issues. Most people don't know Emily led recon missions in places so dangerous they're off public maps. She reads body language like it's neon. She knew Patricia was bluffing. You don't have the right to enter our home, Emily said, stepping between Patricia and the door. The covenant allows exterior inspections with notice, not interior. She pulled out her phone. I'm recording this, and our doorbell camera's on. Patricia's mask slipped. In Pinewood Estates, residents comply, period. She tried to step around, and Bryce moved to intimidate, his bulk looming. That's when Emily spotted it, a slight bulge under his polo, a concealed weapon. To an untrained eye, it was invisible, but Emily's years of spotting threats kicked in. She shifted her stance, casual but defensive. "I understand you have a job," she said, "but show me documentation for entering homes." Patricia's neighborly act vanished. "I don't know what kind of neighborhoods you've lived in, young lady, but we have standards. When—" They backed off. Patricia threw a parting shot. "Military families don't fit here. Consider if this is your place." Inside, Emily's hands shook, not from fear, but from restraining herself. She checked her personal firearm, a ritual to calm her nerves, then called me. She didn't mention the gun. Not yet. A week later, Samuel called, frantic. "Marcus, get home now. That security guy pulled a gun on Emily." I made a 20-minute drive in under 10, heart pounding. A police car was already at our house, lights flashing. From Emily, Samuel, and the police report, I pieced it together. Emily was gardening, defying the new rule, when Patricia and Bryce returned with a document claiming to authorize garden removal. "We're appealing," Emily said, holding a copy of our lawyer-confirmed appeal. Patricia snapped, "This is private property. Ironically, our property." Emily stepped forward to hand over the appeal letter. That's when Bryce pulled a handgun, growling, "Back off." Most people would have frozen. Not Emily. 6 years as a sniper had taught her to stay calm under fire. "You're making a serious mistake," she said, eyes on his. "Brandishing a firearm on private property without cause is a felony. Your grip's amateur, finger on. The trigger, no training, right? And that bulge on your ankle, another weapon, got permits for those?" Bryce's hand shook, his confidence collapsing. Patricia, instead of de-escalating, hissed, "Don't let her talk to you like that." Samuel, watching from his window, had called me and the police. Officer Sarah Martinez, Emily's colleague, arrived, weapon drawn. "Police, drop the gun." Bryce tucked it away, stammering about neighborhood security. Sarah secured his firearm and questioned everyone. By the time I got there, Emily was calm on our steps. Patricia was arguing with another officer and Bryce was cuffed in Sarah's car. Sarah pulled me aside. "I want to arrest him, but it's tricky." Patricia claims Emily threatened them, and there's no body cam to disprove it. Her spa connections reached the chief's wife. Emily smirked. "Check our security cameras." She'd installed motion-activated ones after the last visit, capturing Bryce's stunt in crystal clear video with audio. Sarah's face lit up. Patricia and Bryce had underestimated the wrong woman. Over the next few days, Emily and I went full battle mode. She called it our tactical response plan. Using her recon skills, she turned our dining room into command central, poring over HOA bylaws, property records, and financials Samuel smuggled us. "Know your enemy better than they know themselves," she said. We found 3 weaknesses: the illegal rule change, Bryce's unauthorized firearm, he had a prior assault conviction per Sarah, and HOA financial irregularities. Samuel revealed dues had spiked 40% in 3 years with no service improvements, and Patricia blocked audits funneling money to her spa under vague community relations charges. Our lawyer confirmed the rule change was invalid, and Bryce's gun stunt was a lawsuit goldmine. Emily wasn't after money. "This is about stopping them from hurting others," she said. The night before the emergency HOA meeting, I stood in our garden under the moonlight. Emily's plants were thriving, sturdy like her. Jessica would have been proud of her strength. This fight wasn't just about flowers, it was about standing up to bullies who ruled by fear. At MidnightTales, we dive into stories of ordinary people facing extraordinary battles. Subscribe to catch every twist of this saga. The meeting was a circus, the community center overflowing. Patricia's smile was strained, Bryce absent on his lawyer's advice. She opened with a smear, calling us challenging residents threatening property values, skipping the gun incident. She pushed for a vote to oust us under a vague community harmony clause. I stood, citing the covenant's right to respond. Instead of taking the stage, I stayed put, letting Emily set up our presentation. "I'm Marcus Reynolds," I began. "We moved here for peace after serving our country, me for 23 years in the Marines, Emily for 6 in Special Forces, but..." We found a leadership that rules by intimidation. I laid out the garden dispute, the illegal rule change, the home invasion attempt, and Bryce's gun. Gasps echoed when I mentioned the weapon. Emily clicked and our security footage played, Bryce aiming at her over a piece of paper. The room went silent. Emily stood, voice calm, but commanding. "I'm Emily Reynolds, former Special Forces sniper, now a police tactical trainer. What you saw was a man with an assault record illegally threatening an unarmed civilian. But that's just the start." She flipped to a spreadsheet, exposing Patricia's financial schemes, $50,000 siphoned through her spa. Residents erupted, sharing their own stories. Samuel's blocked audits, the Morrisons' shutter fines, an elderly couple's denied wheelchair ramp. Patricia's control slipped as her allies distanced themselves. Even her husband, Richard, stood admitting he'd ignored her obsession too long and calling for an audit. The votes were a landslide. Patricia ousted, Samuel interim president, garden rule rescinded, and an apology issued. Patricia sat alone, her empire in ruins, her eyes meeting mine, not with hate but with the stunned look of someone who'd lost everything and didn't know why. Just after midnight, our security system pinged. 2 figures crept across our lawn, Patricia and Bryce, him with a herbicide tank, her with a manila envelope. "She's after our evidence," Emily whispered, already moving. I followed, ignoring her order to stay back. Bryce tried picking our lock, unaware of Emily's military-grade upgrades. When that failed, he smashed a window to reach the lock, gun in hand. Emily's voice cut the darkness. "Bryce, drop the weapon or I'll assume intent." He spun, gun shaking. "Police are coming," she said. "This ends now." In a blur, she disarmed him, striking his wrist and sweeping his legs, pinning him down. Patricia froze, envelope in hand as I flipped on the lights. "This is our neighborhood, not your kingdom," I said, picking up Bryce's gun carefully. He babbled, blaming Patricia, who lunged for our papers. Sarah burst in, cuffing them both. Neighbors watched as they were led away. 6 months later, Pinewood's transformed. Samuel's a fair president. The audit exposed Patricia's embezzlement and she awaits trial. Her spa business collapsed. Bryce got 5 years. Emily's garden thrives, inspiring neighbors to start their own. The HOA now hosts gardening exchanges, and Richard funded a community garden to atone. Emily and I stayed. This is home, a real community now. Her garden heals her combat scars, and at dawn I see her there, dirt under her nails, at peace. Patricia never grasped one truth, never threatened someone who spent their life neutralizing threats. For more stories of resilience, check out Midnight Tales on YouTube. Subscribe and share your own battles in the comments.